Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Get ready for truth bombs, belly laughs, and the kind of accent that turns car into a two-syllable adventure. Here's your host, Sean.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Edge of Liberty right here on the SHR Media Network. Also known tonight as the Edge of Berserk, because the bloviating one himself will be joining us. I want to say good evening to all the assholes from last night who were in chat this evening. If you don't get that reference, if you don't get that joke, you're going to go watch BZ's show from last night. It was absolutely hysterical. And, of course, I have Mission Ready Men. I have BZ's in there, which is ironic because he's also on with me in a few minutes. Canada Heavy Hall, good evening, sir. The Phantom, as always. Jersey Joe himself. Unpleasant Blind Guy, all in the chat. And if you want to get in the chat, head on over to YouTube, search up SHR Media, click live chat, and you can be a part of it as well. Got a lot to talk about this evening. Kamala wrote a book that absolutely just torches her career and everybody around her. I still want to talk about that. The autism and Tylenol freak out that this country's having, which is just beyond me. And a couple other little things, but we have to start in Dallas. And before we do that, you know him, you love him. He can block out the sun like no other human that I have ever met. Ladies and gentlemen, the Berserk Bobcat himself, BZ, joins us this evening.
Hello.
How are you, sir?
Hello. Good. Thanks for inviting me since I don't know. Anyway, moving right along. By the way, my gravitational pull, the Lawrence Livermore Lab has contacted me to say, can we use you in our planetary experiments? And also at CERN. And I said, hello.
You know what? I do. And a lot of people don't know this, but do you know how the Earth is slightly tilted and it always changes just a little bit, which is why we have different weather patterns as a history of a people. Or as
why is it that I think I know where you're going?
And I think that it was great that 5 years ago they needed to readjust the accent, so the access, so you moved up to Idaho, which I thought was fantastic. So I appreciate that very much. Manitoba Farmer, thank you so much. I appreciate the fact that not only do we have some international listeners, but my friends north of the border are starting to show up more and more.
That's very cool. I mean, we had people from New Zealand.
Absolutely. And you never know when she'll pop in again. Ordy's here. Of course, you were the first comment, Ordy, in the chat. I appreciate it. Cosmic Bard is here. The Lost Wanderer.
Did you just call him the Cosmic Fard?
Yes, I did. And I'm
Polish for fart.
And let's move on.
Why, you oughta.
So this morning, everyone woke up. Wow, everyone who is, I guess, west of Dallas woke up to the news that there was an attack on an ICE facility. 3 people shot total. 2 were killed. The suspect then decided to eat his own weapon and take the coward's way out. And of course, the whole world went crazy because this is yet. Oh, and by the way, they found written on one of the rounds that was in the stripper clip for his weapon. Was it fuck ice or anti-ice? It was one
anti-ice.
Anti-ice, yeah. So, the normal response is, what's his motivation? There's a lot going on online suggesting that his family are all entire leftists, that his sister, and I have yet to be able to confirm this independently, but that his sister was dating a trans girl. And yeah, so it's once again an insane situation that we find ourselves in this country, which you would think at this point, BZ, we would kind of be used to it.
I've said and will continue to say, and it's like now I have to sit into a booth myself and under a banner that says "Prove me wrong," because the trannies are now per capita and continue to go out of their way to be the most violent contingent of people in all of the United States of America.
And this suspect isn't necessarily a tranny, but he's a hardcore leftist. And one of his, and actually, thank you very, very much, Mission Ready Men, for bringing this up, because I was just about to talk about this. In one of his social media profiles, I believe it's his Google profile, he has a cartoon depiction of a Soviet soldier, whatever, and it says something about "thanks, comrade," or something like that. He's a leftist. And of course, the usual shills, and I've said right along, BZ, the best thing they can do right now, and they're not going to do it, and I know they're not going to do it. The best thing they can do right now is to turn around when something like this happens and just immediately say, hey, this was really, really bad. His name was Joshua John is the suspect's name. But that's really what all they have to say, right? Is, hey, this wasn't good. This shouldn't happen. And we should probably just like not do this anymore, guys. But they can't. They have to come right out and try to combat what's out there, stuff like this.
See, I didn't do a deep dive on this guy, and you mentioned something. And if you would mention again, because I think I heard what I heard, but I'm not sure. What was his relationship with any sort of transsexual community? Apparently there was a linkage, but what was that? Because I've not done that dive.
Yeah, his sister's allegedly dating a trans woman. I don't know. I can't, like I said, I can't independently confirm that. And it really does not matter to me in this conversation right this second, because what is more important to me, and I think is it's going to go beyond just, as you said, like the tranny violence. It's going to go way beyond that. Let me fix our grids here. There we go. Because these are the people where, even if it's not a transvestite who's picking, a transsexual who's picking up the gun, it is all the sympathizers, the friends, the people who feel like they're being attacked and yada, 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 that are getting this motivation to do this.
But see, do the logical extension on what it is that you just said, because no one's asking this, and I'm asking for a friend, perhaps 10,000 friends that are out there. Okay, if you're a girl going with a tranny man who is transitioning or has already done so to a woman, does that make you a lesbian?
I understand the logic. You say, oh God, I don't even know anymore.
It's just like what the hair.
It's just being straight with extra steps. I don't understand why. I mean,
I so confused. I so confused about all this.
I don't understand that logic, and obviously not, because I'm not living that life or whatever. But it does blow my mind to see that, or in reverse, where it's like, oh, I'm transitioning to be a guy, and my girlfriend is transitioning to be a woman from being a guy, and then we're just gonna date like that. Like I like I said, it's being straight with a whole bunch of extra levels. And it comes, I think a lot of it comes with the attention. Now, I don't want to go on I don't want to spend 20 minutes on that part of this.
No, but the other thing that occurred to me now, and I have not kept my finger on the pulse of politics and news today, so please correct me if I'm wrong. When I first saw the story, it said that a shooter from a rooftop had hit a van in an ICE facility in Texas, and that 2 illegals were killed. but now it's not 2 illegals, 3 definitely injured, 1 killed now. What is the update? And then I have an extension for that.
Actually, the last I had heard, BZ, is that, where did everything go? When I hit, there it is. The last I'd heard, and here's the rounds that were found on the ground next to the body. You can see anti-ice on the second from the right.
Yeah, now I've seen those before. That's a stripper clip, just like you said.
Yep.
But it's a Mauser style stripper clip. Mm-hmm. And my first thought was, okay, 8 mil or maybe even 30-06. Now, I again haven't read anything indicating specifically the rifle used, unless, wait, wrong finger. Unless
I
you have.
I don't remember. I was trying to see if I had it. It's one of those things that it's important, I guess, on some level to find out, obviously, the tracking of the weapon, where it came from. But the simple fact of the matter is last night specifically, you had what's his face there, Newsom, go on with Colbert and rip ICE apart, calling them Gestapo,
Nazis, fascists.
Blah, blah, we've seen that repeatedly for months now. Months of everybody, JB Pritzker, you name it. I mean, everyone who is trying to make a name for themselves on the left has continued this rhetoric, right? And what kills me is they will still not take accountability for their words. And the simple fact that nobody is saying, guys, we need to fucking stop this. And again, it goes back to the song, "We Didn't Start the Fire." Look, you can say Trump says a lot of things that sometimes annoys me, but the simple fact of the matter is 10 years ago, or in 2010, 15 years ago now, it was the left that started this approach to how to categorize political opponents, when it started with the Tea Party, calling them Nazis, calling them terrorists, all of those things. And it worked to the point that, the Tea Party went away.
And Lois Lerner helped with that, with IRS.
And the rhetoric just kept going up.
Here's the one thing I want to point out that I don't think too many people, I haven't heard anyone say this. Obviously, it's, as far as we've been able to determine, it's clearly another leftist political assassination. The suspect, as you indicated, etched intentionally anti-ICE on one of the rounds in a stripper clip that was found somewhere.
By the way, my favorite part about that is they said it was etched, and a whole bunch of leftists on social media are saying, well, that was written. This isn't etched completely. I mean, that was just written with a Sharpie. It's not really, the guy didn't etch his own rounds. And it's what the fuck,
fuck y'all.
If that's the only thing you have to fall back on.
And so at the time, which is why I'm not sure about 2 or 1, but let's say at least 1 illegal invader killed, 2 in critical condition. And so Democrats and leftists are already praising this attacks. These shootings are a direct response to a whole bunch of people saying the exact same words that you just said. And their rhetoric, their hyperbole killed a minimum of 1, perhaps 2, and seriously injured at least 3 of their own illegal invaders, which clearly delineates to me, Democrats and leftists, mark my words, take this downtown on the J bus. They do not give a fuck who dies and falls in the pursuit of their ideology. They will kill the people that they love in order to keep with their philosophy and their ideology. And this is continuing proof.
I will make a point. First of all, Manitoba Farmer, who's new to us, and I appreciate you being here. Did you see that as soon as Trump started cutting funding to USAID, I assume is what you mean, that the shooter's equipment started getting worse and shittier? Yeah, that's been oddly apparent. But
yeah, nobody uses stripper clips anymore unless you're, here's my M1 Garand from 1942.
I know the fact that there wasn't a ping from the roost.
Yeah, I was waiting for that from, Private Bing, Saving Private Ryan.
Yep. So I will say though, and this is just based off the evidence that I've seen today. This is based off of what was said at the press conferences. I think because he did focus fire on the van, I think the shooter thought it was full of ICE agents.
Yes,
and silhouetted van.
Right. But if you go with that, and I would go with that. I don't see any evidence to the con of that. That indicates that they'll do anything they possibly can to kill. And the logical extension is, as I indicated, they don't give a crap who dies and who falls. They can't say it out loud, not on this one, not just yet. But secretly, they're all, and hundreds of thousands more Democrats and leftists, they are overjoyed at the deaths and the injuries of those illegals who were basically sacrificed at the altar of their principles. That means naught to them.
Well, and how they're going to spin this publicly is, look, ICE is trying to deport these people. They can't even keep them safe. Now they're letting them be victimized. I'm waiting for that argument to show up.
And you brought up another very interesting aspect that I hadn't planned to address, but you just tickled my tickler file, which is nowhere south. Okay. People think, get that out of your brain. I know you guys, especially after last fucking night, which was a great time had by all. Holy crap. But DHS and ICE inherently in and of themselves do not have the sufficient intelligence and the backup to be able to make plans for things like that. Now, that's to take advantage of that is intentional. They are not the U.S. Secret Service. They are not the CIA nor the FBI, and they don't have all of those people behind them to make the planning necessary and to do the deep dives on these people.
And even if they were, we saw not once, but almost twice with the second most protected man in the world at that point, Donald Trump, that people still get through. And it goes to show you that no matter what, evil's going to do evil, and they're going to get through it.
There is no one on the planet that if someone isn't willing to sacrifice themselves for another person, there isn't anyone on this planet that can't get attacked or gotten to. I want to make one other point. I'd like to read something to you, and then I'd like your classic Sean Lewis interpretation of this, because I wrote this down word by word when I watched this on the 5 to make sure that I couldn't find any video for it. So I wrote this down. And you tell me what you pull out of this. And the people that are watching live right now and in podcast, you tell me what you pull out of this. What's the extraction? What's the meaning out of all of this? So Jessica Tarloff is back on the 5. And Greg Gutfeld is back on the 5. And so Jessica Tarloff was talking about the ICE assassin who at that time, I think, I still don't know the numbers, murdered 2 illegal invaders and at least critically injured a third. And from today's The 5, she said, and this is a direct quote, this took me probably 15 minutes to write all of this down. This looks like a kid that was inflamed either by the leftist cabal, and trust me, she was dripping sarcasm when she said that, or maybe he used his own eyes and maybe he saw what's going on.
Yep.
Maybe there are people in his community who are being picked up by people from ICE. Maybe he saw raids at Home Depot, or maybe he did hear J.B. Pritzker. He seems like a Morning Joe viewer to me, right? Someone who tuned in, saw Hillary Clinton, and then went out and grabbed his gun. The common denominator in all of this is that we have young men, usually young white men, who have access to these guns and are carrying out these tragedies. They are nihilists. They live online. And again, do you think it's normal that people are writing on casings anti-ICE? They think it's a joke. You look at Tyler Robinson's text messages with his roommate and a partner, it reads like a joke. They just wanted us on Fox News to have to read that stuff out loud. He even said it in the messages. So I get it. You're amped up. I don't think I said anything worthy of that level of explosion. And she said that to Greg Gutfeld,
who lost his ever-loving mind.
Permission to extract the important leftist parts out of that. I speak leftist, and I'd like to translate, or perhaps you'd wish to weigh in first.
Well, it's really simple. She, on one hand, exonerated all the leftist bullshit that they've been saying for years now and said, hey, this clearly isn't on us. How could this possibly be on us? And then, because she's literally slicing one way and then doing a return slice, said, this is on you. He's a white, gun-owning, sits at home all day in his computer nihilist who thinks it's funny to write these messages before he commits this crime. And this has to be on you because you have access to guns.
Well, let me extract some of this. At first, she said, this looks like a kid that was inflamed either by the leftist cabal, and that was said tooth and mouse. She's being...
Oh, yeah, sarcastic.
Tongue-in-cheek. That is dripping sarcasm. Mm-hmm. She doesn't believe that there's any kind of a leftist cabal. What she meant was...
She knows there's a leftist cabal. She's not going to acknowledge it.
She will never say it. That will never escape her lips.
Like Jersey Joe said in our private chat today, and he nailed it. He was watching The Sopranos, and it's the scene where the daughter confronts Tony about the mafia, and Tony's sitting there denying the mafia even exists. That's exactly what that is.
Well, then, she says then in the very next few words what she really meant out of this, which is, he used his own two eyes. Mm-hmm. He saw what was going on. He saw there were people in his community who were being picked up from people from ICE. He saw raids at Home Depot. And that's where the seriousness stops. Then she goes into mental sarcasm again. Or maybe he heard J.B. Pritzker. Or maybe he was a Morning Joe viewer. Or maybe he listened to Hillary Clinton.
Yep. And here's the best part about it. That insinuation that she's making there, it's incredible to me, because what that says is, even though it's sarcasm, but what she's suggesting is that kid watched Hillary on Morning Joe this morning, which I think I have the clip of that. BZ, your show's on Thursday night. What's the other night?
Tuesday night.
Right, because I'll see you next Tuesday. And that's who Hillary is. And it is then to suggest that he all of a sudden, and I know she's being ridiculous, but he didn't just do that, go find the roof and climb on top of it. This kid had already done research on where to shoot from. He did pre-planning. He did surveillance, counter surveillance. He knew where he could get a good sight picture to commit this horrible act. This is not somebody who just was emotionally triggered last night by Newsom or this morning by Hillary. This kid had a plan in place. You don't get up on a roof of a commercial building that overlooks a federal facility in 20 minutes. It just doesn't happen.
It is the definition of terrorism. It is the definition of first-degree murder, which includes the phrase, and I know it's true in California, always spell it with a K because I prosecuted, I was in homicide, I investigated any number of people, and I acquired first murder in the first tags on them. You're it. Now you're going away. None of them were killed, of course, because it is California. But the phrase malice aforethought comes to the front. 100%. And of course, Mangione,
malice aforethought,
who's detailed, precise planning meant that he had to intentionally come across that guy lying in wait with malice aforethought in order to come up behind him, shoot him in the head. Same with Thomas Crook. There had to be serious planning to go on with that. The same with the guy that was about to assassinate Trump. There had to be planning in that. And the same thing with the asshole that killed Kirk. much planning, and the same thing with this guy today. Much planning. Those are all, if you're not going to go terrorism on him, then you've got to go murder in the first.
Oh, it's terrorism. I mean, his whole point is using violence to instill a political change through force of fear. That's the definition. Speaking of, and the other thing you forget, or you don't forget, but let me catch up on some of these comments. Yeah.
Comments. Let's see some comments, kids.
SHR Media from Jersey Joe. I think I just came across something. The weapon said today was a Car 98 8mm Mauser.
BZ knows his rounds.
The weapon that Tyler Robinson allegedly used was a Model 98 Mauser 30-06 with a bolt action.
But like you said, it's like they're regressing.
Well, I didn't say that. That was Manitoba. He said that.
Well, that's a good point. It's like they're regressing. Where do you get all these bolt actions all of a sudden?
Yeah, exactly.
Untraceable?
Well, maybe that could be a part of it. A lot of guys gave me credit for slipping in when I thought of Hillary very, very quietly. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to play the Hillary clip.
Please don't. Who was that said, please?
The blind guy. When I threatened chat room to show Hillary.
No. Don't do it.
I want to show. Where is it?
Wouldn't be prudent.
Would not be prudent. I was making a point before all that. Now I forgot what it was because you made me laugh.
Sorry.
No, I do blame you incredibly.
I know. Yes.
But this does go back to this whole ridiculousness that we're in as a society, where you have politicians. And look, when I've been saying for a long time, the Democrats only policy on their website or only policies Orange Man bad. Nobody knows what they actually stand for, what their plan is, what their policies are. It's just Orange Man bad. They have created this volatile situation in our nation in which people are now taking up arms against the government. Let me rephrase that. They are taking up arms against the government because it is not just this attack. It is not just the attack north of Dallas, 2 months ago?
Yeah.
When the group from, the John Brown something gun group, which is a gay and lesbian affiliated, Antifa affiliated gun group.
Oh, come on. What's wrong with you? There is no Antifa.
I know. Let's get to that here in a minute.
Glorious.
This doesn't go back to Supreme Court justices being threatened to kill. It doesn't go back to the 2 attempts on Trump's life. It does not at all.
Or who Kavanaugh's attempted assassin.
That's right.
Was.
Yep. It doesn't go back to the fact that Kristi Noem's had to move twice because of the threats against her life, or John Homan. They are actively taking up arms against the government, and they're doing it at the encouragement of the left political party, the Democrats,
of the government itself.
And the Democrats and they're taking up against the government itself. They're going after federal government forces for enforcing the law that Congress passed. This is a Congress passed law that has been on the books for years that's being enforced. You know, it wasn't a Congress passed law, the border under Biden that allowed all of this problem to happen. So, and the left has continuously encouraged this. I don't give a fuck what they say. They have continuously encouraged this. You just had Jasmine Crockett, last week, talking about how criminals aren't committing crimes, and then she was on a talk show a couple weeks ago where the host said, "We got to pick up arms," and she's like, "Yeah, we do." You had Jayapal make a statement tonight about, we have to strike in the streets. All of this stuff, or last night. I'll tell you right now, the Democrats and my favorite part is calling everybody else a fascist within the conversation, which is absolutely fucking the funniest goddamn thing on the planet, because you're the fuckers using violence. And I did a deep dive today into the methodology on right-wing versus left-wing violence. And what I found, and I found this through the use of AI, and I did a whole bunch of digging and drilling down. What I have found, and what it confirmed, is that the vast majority of classifications for anything violent that involves government is automatically attributed to just about every group that does studies on it to right-wing ideology. Does not matter what the actual ideology was. If it's anti-government, and the American Defense League, as I talked about the other night, does this, and a lot of them do, it automatically is construed as right-wing. So when they're coming out saying, well, the right-wing violence has been worse, blah, blah, blah. No. It's not. Because the shooting of Steve Scalise, according to all those studies, was left-wing ideology. It was absolutely not left-wing ideology. And you know, the last real right-wing major attack, they've had, you know, you've had some screwballs, and I can't think of anything on the level that stands out in my head, but I'm not saying it hasn't happened.
Well, there were the political folks in Minnesota, something like that.
Yeah.
But that guy Bogan or Boder or whatever the hell his name was, that was personal shit.
Right. And nobody
he was on Democrat committees.
Right. And before that, what was it? The kidnapping of Whitman, right? Governor Whitmer, right? That was right-wing, extreme right-wing people.
But it's going to be overturned on appeal because of FBI entrapment.
Yes. So that's going to get tossed, and it will get tossed. I can't imagine that it won't. And then before that, you really have to go back. And when we say terroristic violence, I mean physical violence, not just a group of assholes showing up somewhere and protesting, right? You had Sacramento a couple of years ago. It's like, oh, the Proud Boys had a fight. Well, they only had a fight because they had a lawful protest and Antifa showed up. So they were kind of put into that fight. You have all of these different things, and they're trying to say, oh, this is the right-wing violence is way worse than the left-wing. The last major right-wing politically motivated act of terror that I can find is Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah. And that's not to say there wasn't one or two one-offs that maybe I'm just not recalling off the top of my head. I know there's been some threats against politicians. 100% should not happen. But the one trend that has continuously shown to be on the uprising is the amount of lethality and attempted lethality that the leftists are using over the last 10 years to commit their crimes.
Now, you mentioned Jayapal. So as you were talking, I did a little bit of a quick dive on that. And what she said was Democrats have to be strike ready and street ready.
Yep.
Now, how can you possibly, to the common American, how would you interpret that? That means we need peaceful protests, right?
And when you say, if you want to say street ready, you can turn around and say, okay, that means protest. I could see that. If she's like, hey, we're going to be ready to protest in the streets. It's a weird turn of phrase. Maybe the kids are using it, whatever. The strike ready part is the part that should stand out the most, because what are you going to strike? You're not
GM workers. Obviously, the GM workers.
You're not refusing to go to work in order to change your boss's mind.
Not the GM workers.
So if they're not employees who are trying to get a better wage, I still don't necessarily like unions, but I'll leave that there. Then what is it?
Yeah.
It is the word strike for a reason.
Is it does that mean I'm carrying a sign strike?
No.
Or does it mean or worse?
Yeah, or worse. Oh, and by the way, all the BLM riots, all of them, all the murders associated with them, and all the Antifa riots and all the damage, property damage and attacks and injuries, that none of those are considered political violence in any of those studies. Just so we're clear on that.
Yeah. And the Southern Poverty SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center, they're not racist or misogynist either.
No, God, no. Here it is.
No, that's the one I was looking at.
We might call this getting strike ready. I think of it as getting us strike ready or street ready. And part of that is understanding our own strength. And as we develop that strength, being able to assess our risk tolerance, because we know that risk tolerance increases as the severity of the situation increases and as our own understanding of what's happening increases.
Here's their risk tolerance. Their risk tolerance is we'll even kill fucking illegals to make our point.
Yeah, and it's funny is it's not. I mean, it's not funny. None of this is absolutely funny, because it's frightening on so many different levels. But one of the things that I think is exposed the most, and as we're about to enter into election season, the midterms and everything, I think we need to understand and realize how frightened the left is, the Democrats are, to completely fall into oblivion. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean we shouldn't double down and go harder, because we need to. We should absolutely do everything we can to keep the momentum going. But the left turning it up the last couple of years and like this, because I finally found it.
And I'm proud of the fact that we have always been a work in progress. We haven't gotten to the more perfect union, and we fought a civil war over part of it. Mm-hmm. And people have been protesting, for hundreds of years that, things were not as they should be, given our ideals and how we should be moving toward them. So I think that's what makes us so special as a country. And the idea that you could turn the clock back and try to recreate a world that never was, dominated by, let's say it, white men of a certain persuasion, a certain religion, a certain point of view, a certain ideology, is just doing such damage to
white men
what we should be aiming for. And we were on the path toward that. I mean, imperfectly, lots of, bumps along the way, but I agree with you. We were on the right.
Said the woman who wants to prosecute criminally folks that don't have the same ideology as her and do not speak the exact same language as her. You fuckers deserve to go to jail.
It's unbelievable to me that they can sit there and try to have an honest argument and then say things like that. And I have a 1:40 clip here, and I'm probably not going to play it just because it's all stuff that everyone's seen before. But it's the collage, right? It's the collage of people like this, who's just, oh God.
How do you prove to somebody that you're a U.S. citizen? Your accent, the color of your skin? That's not the country we live in. You shouldn't have to walk around with papers the way that they did in the early days of Nazi Germany to prove that you belong. And
there it is again, Nazi Germany. You got to throw that in. You got to throw your Nazi Germany in whenever you can get it, because how else are the people going to know that they're absolutely... Look, you know what kills me, BZ? 10 million people... 10 million people are allowed to flood into this country. 10 million, that's the low estimate. That's not the high estimate. That's the low estimate. But let's just go with the low estimate. 10 million people flow into this country. They get brought everywhere throughout the country because Texas is like, fuck you. We're not taking 10 million illegals in this country. We're going to send them all over the place. They are here illegally. They have no right to be here in this country. ICE's job, as I said earlier, is to deport them. How? I don't understand. And I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to equate finding an illegal and deporting them the same as making a traffic stop and pulling a gun out using probable cause, reasonable suspicious, indicia, all that other stuff, right? But how can you sit there and with a straight face equate this country to Nazi Germany? And I know why they do it. I get the motivation. They're trying to get people pissed. They're trying to get people to attack ICE. They want violence in the streets so they can blame Trump and they can blame conservatives and everyone who voted him into the office. You're responsible for this violence on the street. But how do you say it with a straight face? How do you look back at what was going on in Germany in World War II and say it with a straight face? I don't fucking know.
I still believe that a large percentile of this gets down to good or bad. Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head. And it's simply no more complicated frequently than pushback. You can never exceed a molecule, a centimeter, a fraction of an inch to Trump. no matter how insane you sound, no matter how insane you act, no matter how violent you become, it's immaterial. You will lay to waste and lay bodies in big heaps of blood for your ideology and for your philosophy.
Yep.
It's no more complicated than that. Also, I want to ask you this thing, Sean Lewis. Are you going to go to a break?
No, because we only get 20 minutes left now.
Okay. All right. Then if not, I have a question for you. Maybe you're already going to go there, but it's one that, well, let me back this up a little bit. You and I had been talking for quite some time, certainly since last week, certainly since Charlie Kirk, of where does this go from here? And we gave homage and remembered Charlie Kirk, the victim of a political assassination, and now guys like what's that guy, Matt something or other, he's the victim. You know, Kimmel shouldn't be the victim. He was the original victim. He can't be a better victim. Kamala Harris is the victim. But then you and I commiserated and we said, this is going to go somewhere. And then everyone on the conservative platform, you, me, Rick, everybody else, we agonized back and forth. I want to punch him in the face. No, I don't. You got to be more like Charlie Kirk. No, I'm tired of that crap. We're getting steamrolled. We are literally getting killed. What's next? No, we got to temper everything, push it down. We can't be that reactionary. And a week and a half later, post Charlie Kirk, we have another political hit where illegal invaders, 3 are in critical condition. 1 or 2 may be dead.
Yeah, depending on which news outlet you're reading.
Yeah. And then I woke up today, I did some stuff, finally turned on the TV, and the first thing I went is, okay, I expected this, but I did not expect it this quickly.
Oh, and I don't think it's going away. And look,
no, that's the point. Now where?
Comments. Look, I am all for tampering down and having people stop being murdered. The problem is we're not the side who is committing the murders. We're not the side that is committing the violence. We're not the side. Look, I said this before. You have 2 groups of people in this country. When you break it down, you have, well, maybe 3. You have the indifferent group. There's always the indifferent group. But you have the people on the left who want to take everything that this country was founded on, that wants to take all of the good in this country, everything that it's built, its power, its money, its people, its blah, 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 and absolutely pervert it into a country that is unrecognizable from what our founders wanted. And then you have people like us. And I wrote a long rant on X today. It says, look, I used to be the moderate. I used to be a moderate. Except the country, starting in 2010, the Democrats took the rug and they pulled it so far left that I ended up standing in a place where I am far right now, when I was never a far right person. I was a conservative, but I am not as dug in as I am now. You're not going to change my mind, because what you're trying to change my mind to in conversations with the left is something that does not and does absolutely not deserve to be spoken of in this country. This country does not need to go that way. It doesn't need to change. Look, Hillary was talking about, oh, we were on the right path. We were on the right path. We were on the right path. Yeah. You know what? We were in a good place. In 2008, we had some problems. Obviously, the Iraq war stuff. And as I said in my show about a month ago, I think the Iraq war brought a lot of people, when we found out it was a lot of the false pretenses, it brought people more involved in the politics and started getting people to attack the Unit Party, which is why the Tea Party showed up, blah, 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 blah. And that's what they're trying to protect. And I get that. But you can't turn around and say to me hey, we need you to give a little bit more. We need you to give in a little bit more. Because I'll tell you right now, we've fucking given in. We have fucking given in, which is what pissed us off, is because we kept elect people that were giving the house away. And we kept giving the house away. And we kept getting along to get along. And we kept being nice. And look at where it fucking got us.
You have to ask yourself, okay, in terms of what do those people want? What do Democrats and leftists want?
Socialism.
What's the bipartisanship to be had throughout all of this?
But as you said, there is
seriously,
there's not.
What is the bipartisanship? And then what's the compromise on this?
None.
Now, of course,
what Democrats are doing right now with the budget. Look at what they're doing right now with the budget.
Sure, we'll hold everything hostage for $1.2 trillion of bullshit and free stuff for illegal invaders. Oh, the 3 that we killed today, they're worth fighting over this for. And once we clean up the blood pools.
If they were holding it up to save $1.2 trillion from going into the budget, I would actually support them for it.
Hell yeah.
But that's the thing of these, and especially the Democrats. Look, there's plenty of Republicans who do it too. But that's one of the major things that Democrats do is spend to take care of all these little groups, and the American taxpayer takes it up the ass. And we got to move on.
Chicago's so much better for it.
Oh, way better.
And Los Angeles is so much better for it. Yep. And Atlanta is so much better for it. And all the rest of the American leftist urban rat cages, they're all better for it, aren't they? Because that money was so well targeted and spent.
Yep. All right, we got to go because I have 2 more topics to get to in 15 minutes. That one went 45, not expecting it. No break. Here we are. So let's start with something that's amazingly funny. Kamala Harris is on a book tour. Oh, by the way, her first public appearance tonight in public, and Free Palestine shut him down, or they tried to shut it down. They were yelling over her as she was speaking at her first public event for the book signing. So it's going well. It's actually going as well as her campaign went, which is outstanding. One of the big things, BZ, that came out in this is she didn't pick Pete Buttigieg, who, and I said in an X post, I think she would have done a lot better had she picked Pete Buttigieg. Like, I'm glad she didn't, because as much as Pete Buttigieg is a leftist and a Democrat and a horrible mayor and a terrible transportation secretary, all that aside, the simple fact of the matter is I don't think he would have made the same gaffes. I think that he probably would have communicated points better. He's not a dumb guy. He was also a veteran. People forget that. Pete Buttigieg was in the Navy, right? I think he was in the Navy.
Yeah, I believe so.
So you had that aspect. She only did not pick Pete Buttigieg essentially because he was gay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Which somebody said, isn't that discrimination? And wouldn't that be worth a lawsuit? I mean, really? And go ahead.
Everything. Wait. Maybe I can make a song of this. Everything that they accuse us of, they're doing themselves and worse.
And Cosmic Bard said she would have lost with Pete. She may have won with Shapiro. Yeah. I mean, all I'm saying is I think the gay thing did play into it for her personally. And also she did not want to have the light taken off her, right? Pete Buttigieg enters as the first gay VP candidate. He's going to get way more spot. She's already got the spotlight for 4 years, right? She was picked, as we know from Biden's own words, because she was a black female, and he was going to pick a female, hopefully black in his words, for that position, right? So she was a DEI hire, and she could not DEI hire herself.
No. Can't have a gay, can't have a Jew, can't have anyone oversee myself, can't have anybody more competent than me.
It absolutely is hysterical. And I tell you, that wasn't even the only spot. There's a girl I'm following on social media, I think on TikTok, who is reading like every page for like 30 seconds at a time, this book's a shit show. It is absolutely a shit show.
But it's great, though. It's great. All this did in terms, leftist Democrats are nothing if not narcissistic and sociopathic. So she said, she sells seashells down by the seashore, saying that, well, I maybe I'll be governor, or maybe I'll come back in 2028 for president. Well, you blew through, what was it, $1 billion, maybe $2 billion. And now you're flaming the living fuck out of anybody that supported you, had anything to do with you, surrounded you, assisted you, shipped money to you. And that's like, okay, I have a huge tanker on a semi truck full of gasoline, and here's this lovely wooden bridge. Excuse me while I open the tap on this huge tanker, soak the bridge, and then look, I have a match.
Yep.
And it's not my dog in your face.
Oh, hold on. I got to pull because I have a whole bunch of quotes here somewhere from the book, and it's just, here we go. On Buttigieg, he would have been an ideal partner if he were a straight white man.
There you go.
Harris, we're already asking a lot of America to accept a woman, a black woman married to a Jewish man. That almost seems like a Mel Brooks thing, that she was just going to keep adding stuff onto it. Married to a Jewish man, a black woman married to a Jewish man with a club foot, a black woman married to a Jewish man who likes to, juggle plates in the week, a black woman married to a Jewish man with a club foot who likes to juggle plates and cleans his nose with whatever, a pipe
with a lesbian flannel shirt and a biker wallet on a chain.
So part of me wanted to say, screw it, let's just do it. But knowing what was at stake, it was too big of a risk. Let's see. On Buttigieg again. Maybe I was too cautious to be a black woman running for president. I want somebody to find out for me right now how many times she used the phrase black woman in this book. Because I'm only pulling a few quotes and I've already seen it, 5 times?
Well, either that or it's the crazed Albanian dwarf contingent. Yeah. I mean, she considered them for a while, but there were just too many of them, and they were so damn short.
And she went on to say, maybe I was too cautious to be a black woman running for president, and as a vice president running mate, a gay man, made me very sad, but I was realizing that could be a risk. Harris on Joe Biden. Harris calls Joe Biden's decision to run reckless. She recounts Biden making an angry phone call before a critical debate, accusing her of disparaging him to donors, which, didn't we play that video when that happened? She had an appearance where she shit all over him, if I recall.
I used to say you can't write this shit, but she proves, yes, you can write this shit.
She shit all over Biden for sidelining her in her own campaign on losing control of the message. On Gavin Newsom, Harris describes reaching out to after the Biden withdrawal. Newsom was hiking and texted hiking. We'll call back later, and never did.
Yeah. Like the woman that came up to Newsom during the fire and said, can you get us some help? I'm sorry, I'm on the phone right now talking to the emperor of the world. I'll get back to you. I'm helping you right now. Cosmic Bard in chat said, audiobook is 10 hours of Kamala talking, and they thought was bad. You know what would be worse? Listening to Cammy Cackler. Oh, okay, go. Your show, damn it.
I just because I want to actually work on this for a second.
Okay.
She's running for president. The next person who's running is Gavin Newsom. That's the next Democrat in line to run. Everybody knew that back then.
Yep.
He responds to her asking for help running, hiking, will call back later, and never did. And that shit I would say to my boss, who texted me at 5:01 p.m. on a Friday, and not call him back till Monday morning at 8 a.m. That is the biggest blow. And if that doesn't show you what a gigantic dickhead Gavin Newsom is, and that he already had a plan and he doesn't give a shit. When we tell you the Democrats all hate each other, but they'll coalesce over gaining power and then outdoing each other for insanity, that is the best example right there. Hiking. I want to get that on a t-shirt. Hiking. We'll call back. You know what?
Click
When Newsom declared, I am going to make up a shirt that says Gavin Newsom 28 and on the back say hiking, we'll call back.
Look, do you see what this is?
Writing it down.
Do you see what this is?
Morty, thank you for joining us this evening. Good night. I appreciate you being in the chat. Emperor of the Fire Nation. Oh, the chat. The book can be used for war crimes. Yeah, you can only play Kamala's book with somebody else as long as you're in a black site out of the national borders. You can't play it here in the country. Somebody played it and slowed it down by like 20%. And when she's reading it, by the way, her audiobook, she's reading it, which
yes, I heard excerpts of that.
And somebody slowed it down by 10%. And I will tell you, as drunk as she sounds normally, holy shit, does it sound even worse. Hiking will call back. Let me go on. On the party dynamics, Harris suggests Democrats were fraught with tension, distrust, competition, power, and lack of cohesion. Yeah, well, BZ, one of the things that always blew my mind in all of this, seriously, Cosmic Bard, I will remind you tomorrow for the shirt too. One thing that we brought up back then is the guy she picked to run with was the same governor who went in, talked to Joe Biden, and came out and told the world that he was fine, and then lied about his military credentials. And then she was wondering why there was so much tension and distrust in her campaign. You picked an overt liar as a vice president.
As an aside, parenthesis, BZ will ask Sean later, by the way, what's your shirt size?
I will get to you that.
Thank you.
Walz versus Buttigieg. She considered Buttigieg her first choice for VP. Yeah, after the fact, she's saying that, but deemed the pairing too risky. It kills me that this entire book, from all accounts, is her blaming everybody else for losing but herself. Look, it was Buttigieg's fault for being gay. It was Josh Shapiro's fault for being too Jewish. It was Biden's fault for actually running when he should have just stood aside. How dare he not do that?
Away with you.
It was Biden's campaign people for not helping her out. Tim Pool will be the Democrats' next VP selection. Maybe. At this point, anything's possible. They need to win wherever they can get it. But this whole thing sums up, and Joshua, thank you for joining us in chat. I appreciate you being here. This whole thing sums up.
Joshua Shapiro is here?
Joshua Tift in chat.
Oh,
not Joshua.
Welcome, sir.
Speak him into the chat room in existence. He has a good point. They had Tim Kaine, Tim Walz, and it will be Tim Pool. I can follow that logic. That's pretty good. They just really choose a lot of Tims, tiny Tims. But this whole thing runs down to just one gleaming fact: is she cannot accept responsibility for anything. And she still thinks, you remember going into the campaign, I said, she was created in a Democratic lab from the time that she got out of law school, right? She was taken under Willie's arm, raised to be a politician, was told, you're going to go places, kid, just do what you're told. Just do what you're told. And for years, she just parroted whatever the leftist machine told her to do.
I have video of her purchasing her knee pads at Amy Hardware.
When she became vice president, I think in her mind, she actually thought she was smart, right? She thought, hey, I'm vice president now. I can lead this. Good night, Mike. Thank you for joining us. I can lead this. I can do this. I'm at a certain point now where I don't have to listen to people. And she started taking control. And we saw what happens when she was in charge. This has nothing to do with all the accounts that came out after the election of how much of a bitch she was during the election. She made Hillary look like an angel from what everybody said. Hold on.
How many times did she have to replace her San Francisco mayor staff? How many times did she have to replace her AG staff in the state of California?
Well, her VP staff.
How many times did she have to replace her campaign staff? How many times did she have to replace her VP staff?
The Democrats be wearing their Tim hats while we're wearing our tinfoil hats. Yeah, no, look.
That reminds me. I am Joshua. Number one, thanks for being here. Number two, I'm going to make myself a tinfoil hat. I'm going to wear one. I'm going to put it on.
I was with you when I had it.
And then hope that I don't short the shit out of myself when I don my cans.
Dude, I wore one on the air with you. But so the reality is she just single-handedly destroyed her own political career because nobody's going to work with her after this.
Oh, hell no.
The other thing is she's just proven that she won't keep anything behind the curtain in order to benefit herself. Who's going to work with a woman like that? The answer is absolutely fucking nobody.
It's like, there's that truck. It's leaking fuel. The bridge is wooden. I've got the match. And look, I can toss my book in there too, because that will burn as well. Flick.
Everything goes. Everything goes. I did want to talk about the Tylenol thing. I want to give that its due diligence, so I won't talk about that tonight. Everybody, for the most part in the chat, knows that my son's autistic, so this whole subject means a lot to me.
And when you do that, I want to be there, not necessarily on the air with you, but I want to be there to hear you talk about that, because to you and a lot of other people like you, parents, this shit is personal.
It is very, very personal. And I'll just give a quick one right here before we go. One of the things that makes me the most crazy is the fact that they're finally talking about connections to autism, what could have possibly caused it. Now, they did not say, first and foremost, the people turn around and be like, oh, it's Trump and JFK. They made up this study. You're out of your fucking mind. It was Harvard. It was Mount Sinai. There's one out of Sweden as well that said, hey, we have enough going on between early use Tylenol and pregnancies that show signs that there may be a correlation to Tylenol. This should be something we should look at. Now, Tylenol themselves put out a post in, what was it, 2017?
2017.
Hey, just so you know, you shouldn't be taking this while pregnant. And they're all trying to say, oh, he doesn't want you to have Tylenol. He doesn't want you to have Tylenol. Numerous doctors said, look, if it's an extreme emergency, you have 104 fever or something like that, then yeah, clearly instead of dying, you take the Tylenol. Losing the baby, take the Tylenol. There could be a risk about this. And I will tell you, as a father of a child who has autism, and they're talking about a medicine, I always pronounce it wrong, Luvocorin. I want to say Luvocorin, but it's not. Leucovorin, that may help children who have an autoimmune issue to their autism, which some do. It may help them advance emotionally and cognitively, which that's something that I think everybody should at least look into and get it tested. If your child has, talk to your doctor. They know what it is way more than I'm going to sit here and tell you what it is. But essentially it has to do with fulonic acid, how it transfers into the brain. Yeah, Joshua's on fire over there, by the way, in chat room. I really appreciate that. And, obviously that's something that every parent of an autistic child has to look at and say, talk to your doctor and see if getting that test. And that there are plenty of parents out there saying that it has made wonderful, wonderful progress for their children. And it really makes me happy to see that. But the overall, and the other people that I'm really kind of pissed at is the people who are out there saying, my child's autistic and they're perfect. And I'm not saying your autistic child isn't perfect. I've said this before, the struggles I've watched my son go through, the self-harm, the implosions over little things, screaming while he's being strapped down to a medical bed. Why am I like this? At the age of 14 years old. You don't want any other child to have to go through that. And if they can finally start finding a root cause to autism, or contributing factors, all the things that led to it, maybe it is a combination of things, we don't know. But to actually have the president of this country stand there with the HHS secretary and address my child's illness, that he's made amazing headways, and I'm so proud of him. He's come so far. But to finally see it addressed after all these years of otherwise ignorance. Look, you see all this stuff on TV for meds that they're researching, right? And, you having a hard time getting a hard on? Boom, there's 25 different pills for that, right? If you're bleeding, you have chronic diarrhea for a couple of days, we have a new medicine for that. We already see new medicines for everything, and you're not seeing it for autism. You're not even seeing a lot of research done. So if you're one of those parents who loves your autistic child and says, oh, my kid's perfect, I don't want him cured. Well, that doesn't mean that other kids should have to suffer if we can avoid it. Because when...
But see, doesn't that bring up the question? Why did it take Trump to invite everybody into the tent?
I know.
Why did it take Trump to begin to investigate these things that have been going on for so long and are right in front of our face? Heretofore, who else gave a fuck about that?
Agreed. And there could be a genetic component. There could be a diet component. Or it could be all those things together. And it could be that part of your genetics part of the baby's genetics were affected when you took Tylenol that you were pregnant because you have a genetic issue. I don't know.
But how would you know unless you look?
But to finally see, and for people that don't know, my son's 15, starting at age 11. He started self-harming. He started threatening to commit suicide. He became violent. And he's not just a little kid. My son is now 5'11", 206 pounds. He's always been a huge kid. But to see him, to see somebody and to watch him struggle for all those years and the stress that it put on him and his mother and me and his sister as well. If we could find a chance where that doesn't happen to other families, specifically the child who's got the illness, if you could protect them from that, why the fuck would you want anything else? And why the fuck are we not trying to protect these kids?
Why couldn't we even ask questions? We couldn't even ask questions.
Joshua, my son's been in special classes. My son actually is in an enhanced class right now, and it's getting a lot better. He's doing so much better. I'm so proud of him. He's made such an advancement, and I lost BZ. Don't know how that happened, but it is just one of those things that even though my son's making amazing headways and he's getting to the point that he can control so much about what afflicts him and what bothers him, I wish that it never had to have happened to him. I wish he didn't have to struggle at this young age of 15 to constantly fight every single day to try to maintain himself. And it's scary. And to watch other parents who have autism act like this is the worst thing in the world, that we're looking into it. And I know, like, for some of these moms, I think there's like a guilt. You didn't do it. You didn't know. Nobody's saying that you intentionally harmed this, and nobody's saying even right now that you actually did do anything, but we should know. And even if it comes out that the Tylenol or something else is what's causing it, and I know it's not just going to be a Tylenol. I know that's not how it works, but you still didn't know. You weren't out there boozing and booting heroin or drinking and doing drugs or whatever. You were doing what you thought was right, which many parents have done with many other things. I saw somebody mention, loading their kids up with the different vaccines all at the same time and how there's regret with that. And I agree with all of that. I don't think BZ's coming back. I keep looking for him. But it's one of those things that if we can protect the next generation of kids or the generation after that, it's incumbent that we do that. It's our job. And I never, ever, ever want any other kid to have to go through what my son has gone through. And the ending to that is watching the strength that kid has, and watching just the drive that kid has, and watching how beautifully, amazingly intelligent that he is. And he's awesome. He is fantastic. And I'm really, really proud of him. And I wouldn't change anything for the world right now for me, but I would certainly change it for him. BZ, leave and click on the link, and I'll bring you back in because we can do one more segment. I guess we're going long anyhow, because here we are. So I just, any research is good research. And And any of you lunatics who are out there because Trump said Tylenol might be a problem, there you are. And you're downing vials of Tylenol while you're pregnant because Orange Man bad. Josh said this in the chat room earlier. Thank God Trump hasn't come out and said don't eat shit, because all these people would be shoveling piles of shit into their mouth, one right after another. I saw another meme that says, I hope Trump never says the words, don't jump off a cliff, it's bad for you, because the lemmings would be running to the edges, and it's unbelievable what they'll do in defiance.
It's like I've said,
Microphone, BZ, you're gonna make that adjustment.
Oh, damn it, Jim, hang on one second.
I know. How dare you?
I can't remember everything.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about that?
Thank you. I agree.
Okay. Anyway, it's just like we said. You've said it. I've said it. All Donald Trump has to do is say something, and it will be the exact opposite. It will be the polar opposite, because you can never give him a win for anything, for any reason, no matter how many bodies have to be laid.
I got to, and Joshua, again, please like the episode. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Joshua just brought up a tragedy that other kids have to suffer too. He was allergic to cheese, and he's an Italian kid, not being able to eat cheese.
That's gonna suck.
That's gonna be horrible, dude. Like, I'm not even being a smart ass. As an Irish kid who grew up in Boston, who absolutely loves Italian food, you do actually have my condolences on that. Man, that's rough, brother.
It's like being allergic to Guinness.
Dude, right? Oh gosh, if I grew an allergy to beer, or if my body
You're out of here.
The other one is the tick bite that makes it so you can't ever eat red meat anymore. No.
I don't
know what I would do about that.
Annie Robinson and Dirty Harry.
No. So BZ, some good news. There is little hints that Comey is going to be at least brought in front of a grand jury and see if they could get an indictment. I know. It's incredible. Twins. Yeah.
It's going to be one of two things, or maybe both. I'm not sure. It's going to be either Title 18 USC 1621, perjury, lying under oath, or it's going to be 18 USC 1001, which is sort of a general perjury, general lying thing, or a statement to a federal officer or body. Not like I ever investigated it.
Yeah, anything like that. Why would you? Yeah. And also, there's rumors that Letitia James's case may be brought in front of a grand jury soon.
Oh no! Some of our favorite people.
What is the saying? The dildo of consequences rarely comes lubed.
And that, wait. Boy, is that the truth. Frequently, the dildo of consequences comes with sand.
Yeah. It might be rolled in glass first.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Oh, man. It's amazing.
Or ticks.
And yeah, Joshua in the chat room is talking about Pam Bondi is just pathetic. Yeah, I have my issues with Pam Bondi. I'm not gonna lie. I could do probably a whole show on that. But
it took Trump almost an entire year to get rid of Sessions.
Yeah, and I think, to his credit, I think he wants people to succeed, and I think he wants to give them time to succeed. But I don't know. I don't know if she's gonna be long for that position or not. If all of a sudden she turns it around, look, I mean, her whole First Amendment statement, what was it, last week?
That was stupid.
Just stupid and dumb as stones. If she can turn it around and all of a sudden, they start firing on all cylinders, maybe.
I'm open.
Yeah, but there's a lot of things that she's done and said that I have not been thrilled with. She has a lot of trust to earn back. Lastly, I want to close, and I'm so mad I can't find the video, and I had it saved. But I'll tell the story because it was super cool. JD Vance is in Florida today giving a speech. I think it was Florida. and he's giving a speech in front of a room full of people, and he had a great mic drop moment that I won't play, where he was just ripping apart the Democrats for the things that they say that have led to this violence. But then there's like a 13, 12-year-old kid that stands up in the back when he was taking questions and raised his hand, and JD being just an awesome guy. I really think he's a good guy. We were so goddamn wrong about him, BZ. So far, anyhow, we were way off about him because we were so skeptical of this guy at the beginning.
Well, it's like, where the hell did he come from? Okay, he wrote a book.
But this kid stands up and says, he says, "Can I have a question?" And the kid goes, "Yeah, I skipped school today to come see you. Can I have a picture with you?" Right? And of course, JD Vance was super cool. He's like, "Yeah," brings him on the stage. He says, "I might as well give you a reason for skipping school today," and did a picture with him. And I just thought that was so amazing. You know, to see politicians, especially one on that level, and, you know, Trump's done it a bunch of times too, to be human and to show how human he is. I think it matters, and it does show you what a good heart that he does have. He is funny. I mean, he put this up today. This isn't the only thing that I want to show, but I think this is a great one to show. Did you hear about this, BZ? You know where they have all
yes,
all the line of presidents going up?
yes.
And he changed it with the auto pen.
I'm sorry.
I know. It's too much. And of course,
oh shit.
But the other thing I'm really looking for, and I can't find it, that was just awesome. He's so good, man. He is so good.
Dude, it's his house.
I know. But, there's a video, and
Classic.
Give me a second. I'm looking for it. I've seen kudos to Rubio, a couple other ones. I agree. But Joy Reid, hold on. Joy Reid was on with, I think, that moron,
Don Lemon.
And she was ripping apart. She was ripping apart JD Vance and how he got into college and all this stuff. And his response, hold on, I gotta find it because it was one of the damn funniest. This is how you know, like, the right people are in charge, because the amount of comedy that is coming from them, where they're loose and they're having a good time, and it seems like everything's going in the right. This was his reply to her. He posts a meme of himself. This is his own account, and that's his response to Joy Reid. Oh, it's awesome. What a time to be alive, man.
But see, on the other hand, who else has that kind of humility? Trump will occasionally poke fun at himself, but JD Vance and a lot of the other people, I mean,
they've really...
Listen, who taught us to meme? Who forced us to meme?
There was another.
Now we are supreme.
I don't know if he retweeted it or not, but there was another one that I retweeted that was the line of presidents, like the one we saw with the auto pen today. Right. But it was all the different memes of JD Vance and all on that look on his face, and just all the different variations of it. Oh, wonderful, wonderful time.
But again, all these people prove, yes, you can write this shit.
Mm-hmm. Well, and somebody said in the chat room too, some of the best politicians are human. I didn't throw it up there. I want to see. Yeah, here it is. Cosmic Bard. Humans in politics is something many, many people have forgotten. And yeah, you know, I think that's a great point, FA, because you see that with Trump too. And even he goes out of his way to shake certain people's hands. He goes out of his way to hug kids and say hi to kids. He goes out of his way to make that connection and let people know that he's a human being as well. And I think that's something that the Democrats don't do. everything that they do with an appearance with human beings looks so scripted and so fake. And to see this human side of our leaders come out, I think is just fan-freaking-tastic.
Well, it's like if permission to make an analogy.
Yes, go ahead.
It's like, who will we get to replace a Charlie Kirk? That fast, that smart, that intelligent,
Nope.
that completely cogently extemporaneous ability to think on his feet or in a chair so rapidly, it will take another 2, 3, 4, however many people to do that. But for the most part, the people on the right can think and speak extemporaneously. Not always, of course. I'm making that a semi-generality, but most of the people on the left, well, they are the best illustrations of themselves.
Well, and yeah, I agree. I don't think any of them have. I don't think we have anybody, and this isn't an insult to anybody else who's in that circuit and that mindset, but this is certainly a complete credit to Charlie Kirk. Is I don't think you can recreate that with anybody.
No, you truly can't. I started watching videos, and I started trying to find, the perfect compilation of either singly, doubly, or a series of show me how Charlie Kirk was a racist. And then there are some severely edited videos that come up. But then I started watching. I admitted I truly didn't know much about Charlie Kirk. I would occasionally watch one of his videos. I've been watching his videos like crazy. Now, I did not know that Charlie Kirk was aligned with Turning Point USA. That's how stupid I was. But now I'm going through all these videos, and today I went through 6 or 7. And I was thinking to myself, where are you going to find another guy like this?
I don't think it'll happen. I don't think it will happen. Earlier, I was talking about the gun club that was aligned with the ICE detention center attack a couple months ago. And it's the John Brown Gun Club that was also involved with armed queers in Salt Lake City, that was involved in the Charlie Kirk. Well, let me rephrase that. It wasn't involved. I don't want to get sued. They were not involved directly. There's some rumors that they might be. But in Georgetown today,
what club was that besides the John Brown Gun Club?
Yep, that's what it's called.
No, did you mention another one?
The Armed Queers of Salt Lake City.
Okay.
If you go to Data Republican last week, there's a whole bunch of information about it.
It was amazing.
Yes. In Georgetown over the weekend, I think this was over the weekend. I don't think this was today, but this was posted in one of their political things. This is how to join the John Brown Gun Club. And with a QR code, it says, "Hey, fascist, catch," which, of course, the suspect in the Charlie Kirk assassination wrote on one of his shells. So
do you have that in your feed?
I believe so.
Okay. Because you know what? I'm going to take a trip. I'm going to copy that and see where I go.
Well, I'll tell you right now, it is definitely in my feed right now because I just resent it. Okay. And if not, go to Andy No's account because he's been really
another superior guy. Oh my God, Andy. And he's taken the lumps and the kicks and the bicycle lock strike.
Literally taken the lumps and the kicks. And he's been reporting. People forget Andy No. And
it first started with a milkshake thrown in his face.
Yeah, but he's been covering Antifa from the beginning in this country. And everything he's ever said about Antifa has come to be true. And then the other one is Julio. I can't think of his last name. He's another good one too. But Andy No, if it's all things Antifa, and if I go to him for so much of that.
He's the dude.
He is definitely the dude. Let's see. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else to clean up here. Keith Olbermann, as we know,
Oh God,
off the chain. He apologized and said he wasn't trying to threaten.
what a fucking dipshit.
MSNBC having to walk back the fact that the shooter this morning was all of a sudden a leftist. Like, it just goes on, and I don't want to beat a dead horse. We'll round it out at the bottom of the hour. But you know, it's one of those things. The entire theme of the show tonight, Julio Rojas, thank you. He is awesome too. But the entire theme of the show tonight is the continuing lack of accountability among the left, and the fact that all they're doing is panicking in public. They are panicking in public.
It's a cornered, wild, dangerous animal.
And it's only going to get worse, I think, as they slowly lose grip of power. And look, I meant it when I said it earlier. They are single-handedly encouraging people to take up arms against the United States government. And that issue needs to be addressed here shortly. Because you have that with Antifa, which, by the way, has so many people. BZ is still trying to argue that Antifa,
there is no such
organization, but they have websites, they have all these different contacts. I mean, it's ridiculous, right? We all know, and it's the new thing now. And I encourage other people to join me in this response. As soon as people start calling you fascist, I just respond, okay, commie. Whatever you say, commie, because the majority of anti-fascists were communists back in the World War II, which is where all of this came from. So I just assume that if you are screaming anti-fascist, oh yeah, they have logos. Oh yeah, no, I mean, we all know who they are. Look, when you can get 50 people to show up in a protest with 30 minutes notice, when you have websites, when you have flags like that, when you have your emblem, when you have social media people, when you have all that, you are an organization. Because I'll tell you right now, legally, you can even argue that they have a trademark on it because they've used it, so all of that stuff in their logo and everything else so much that they can have ownership legally in court attributed to them.
The Hells Angels have a trademark.
Yeah, absolutely.
Their patch is a trademark. Their name is a trademark.
Fascists came from Italy. Yeah, no, it came. I mean, the anti-fascist quote unquote movement in Italy in World War II was to get rid of Mussolini, as we know. But many of them in that anti-fascist movement were pro-communists. So I always just laugh that people forget that aspect of it. They were very pro-communist in Italy in World War II. Fortunately, that changed. And by the way, speaking of of Italy, did you see the riots over the weekend in Milan?
Wasn't it glorious? Jeez, hey, Sean, who was that involving?
All of you know what. Hey, Mission Radio Man, thank you so much for joining us this evening, sir. Yeah, no, it was involving all of the Middle Eastern migrants. I love the fact that Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni still would did not give in and actually made a speech. I wish I had it, where she essentially said, yeah, you're not going to take this country over. We're not going to give in to you. They're starting mass deportations as well, from what I understand. So hats off to them.
Did I not hear you say sub rosa, parenthesis, her hotness, end of parenthesis?
She is. She is, man. I mean, you can't blame me. You just can't blame me. I think she is. I think she's super hot. and it's part of it is because of her personality. I think her
right. I just read the articles too.
No. I'm serious. I think part of it's her personality does play into it quite a bit, because I think she's kind of a badass. So hey, what can you say? She's smoking hot walking. Don't get me wrong. I'm not denying any part of that. Joshua in the chat room, England's been defeated. Yeah, no, England is gone. No. I mean, I know that hurts a lot of people to say. I know people get really upset when I say that. I don't think England will ever return from where they are. I think it's only a matter of time, unless they do some sort of major 180 within the next 6 months and go balls to the wall with deportation, I don't think that country is savable. France is the same way.
They don't have it within themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They're
and
too
Germany and Belgium are not far behind either. A lot of people don't realize that. We don't see a lot of news. Look, what's it? Which one's the monarchy? Switzerland or Sweden? Switzerland.
Sweden.
The ones that we don't hear a lot of news out of it. They have huge issues of bombings and gangs in that country going out of control as well. That started because of the third world country being imported migrants. So I applaud, especially to be in Europe, and you have countries like Poland and you have countries like Italy who are making a stand, even if it's too
Hungary.
Hungary's another one who's making a stand.
Orban bad, such a racist.
Oh, horrible Orban. I forget there's a comms chick for Poland who's absolutely a smoke show too. She's not the PM, obviously, but she's one of the communications people you see quite a bit. Neither here nor there.
BZ will have to inquire and find out what that person looks like. End of parenthesis.
Yeah, that's a good spot to end the show. BZ, tell everybody where they can find you.
Funny you should ask that. But first, the Grace, thank you for having me on the show tonight. I appreciate it, sir.
Thank you very much for having me last night.
And not like last night was a barrel of monkeys.
Weird.
However, I will be on tomorrow night, mostly with Dan Toth. I'm going to try to avoid doing politics. I don't know if that's possible. Dan Toth is the creator of the Bigfoot Investigative Group. I went there in May and saw the last, essentially, of Dr. Jeff Meldrum before he passed away very late last month of brain cancer. We're going to give you a tribute to Dr. Jeff Meldrum. Dan is going to talk about the Bigfoot Investigative Group, and Big has agreed to do a Coeur d'Alene conference next year in 2026 in late July. Not more than about 15 miles away from where I am right now. BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show every Tuesday and Thursday night, 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Be there. Aloha. Thanks.
Good night, BZ. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And that, my friends, will be it for me. Thank you for everyone who watched this evening. If you haven't, please like and subscribe to the episode. Thank you for our friends over at KLRN who simulcast this show. Please check out, when BZ is going to be on. He just did it, but on Tuesday and Thursday mornings, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon on the East Coast, Mission Ready Men's Show right here on SHR Media on the YouTube. You can get in the chat on there as well. Monday and Fridays, and he's been writing a lot. If you haven't gone to SHR Media and see what Jersey Joe's been writing lately, it's awesome. So go check that out. But he's going to be back Monday and Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 on the East Coast, and that is at night. And I'll be back Monday, 8 o'clock. On the West Coast, 11 o'clock on the East Coast. Thank you so very much for joining me this evening. Thank you to BZ. See you Monday. Have a good night.